Dean Scott, faculty, family, and friends, and joyful graduates. Here you are at the beginning of something, of many things. In his book, Lawyers and Fidelity to Law, Bradley Wendell observes, in the end, being an ethical lawyer means doing well at the craft of lawyering. Craft of lawyering, what is that? Today I want to talk to you a little bit about how the craft emerges from the intersection of values, motivation, and habits, and invite you today to consider how you will prepare yourselves to apply your legal and critical thinking skills in the world. To imagine in this breathing space right here today between student and career, the challenges and how your values will be tested. Preparation. If there was a one-word speech about excellence in the practice of law, preparation would be on the short list. Respected Canadian criminal lawyer Richard Keck has observed that an unprepared lawyer is a person adrift on a sea of chances. And he's right. Early on, when I was a law student, along with my fellow law students, and during our early years at the bar, we were told so much about the value of preparation. And we heard over and over from senior respected lawyers how we had to prepare. It was so important, and we were determined to do it. We assumed that after a number of years, we would get to a magical place where we knew exactly how to take on the files we had, that we wouldn't stress, we wouldn't lose sleep, and we would finally know how to do it. We were so eager to get to that magic point. But the first time that I had an actual real file in front of me with a person depending on me for my legal acumen, I just kept reading and rereading those witness statements and breaking out in a sweat, and I realized, sure, I know it's important to prepare, but what are the steps? What is the formula? How do I organize it? Why did just rereading the file only heighten the feelings of dread and contribute nothing to feeling ready? It was my first confrontation with the reality that you do not pop out the other end of law school a fully formed trial lawyer. The art, the science, the craft of lawyering takes time to develop. And so I learned from each case. I did things that were repetitive, not effective. I had moments of insight, I made mistakes, I had some success. I watched other lawyers, I asked questions, attended advocacy programs, bought legal books. I learned about organizing files into binders, starting from the legal framework, the incredible revealing power of building chronologies to understand facts. I made charts, I taped them up on the walls. And I learned that boredom often meant I just wasn't understanding something. I became persistent and stubborn, politely stubborn, in following up on facts, disclosure, and responses. And I began to realize that in every case, every client has truly unique demands. I listened when experienced lawyers told me they often succeeded by knowing more about the case than anyone else in the courtroom at all times. I learned to consider the motivations of key witnesses, and I visited the scene of the events, even when a visit might not seem to have any role to play in developing my defense, and it always helped. My aphorism from the first client meeting became, the trial starts now. Your career starts now. And these techniques began to work. The extra effort, the imagination required to manage and understand volumes of material paid off. Intuition and confidence in the courtroom became the tip of an iceberg, with hours of unseen effort lurking below the waterline, creating stability and heft. In one lengthy case, my co-counsel and I found ourselves up against a big gun with a reputation for tenacity and years more experience than we had. We knew our clients were getting a bad deal, we believed in them, and we felt a conviction would be a true injustice. We were capital M motivated. And I spent my summer holidays before that trial in a rented schoolhouse on the East Coast with boxes of paper I brought with me, charting out cross-examinations on the chalkboards, while my 6-year-old played over in the corner with some left-behind toys. One piece of advice on that, never ever write a cross-examination on a chalkboard within reach of a bored 6-year-old with access to a chalkbrush. Anyway, we brought a motion to stay the proceedings. We began to call the prosecution as our witnesses to prove it. And we started to gain traction. We knew our case, we had deciphered the boxes of material, and we could articulate exactly where we were going. And early on, as we were methodically laying the foundation for our final argument, our adversary jumped up with an indignant, dramatic objection, made to interrupt our flow and throw us off. It was a tactic. It was gamesmanship. And we were momentarily thrown off. As Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get hit. We were momentarily there. Our brains were just saying, it's on. And we realized we could be thrown off and lose. This was a pivotal moment. Or we could use the objection as a springboard to succeed. So we took 3 steps. First, we slowed down our thinking and our speaking. Next, we asked the witness to be excused, which if you've ever been in a trial court, you realize it takes a bit of time for a person to get out from behind the box, walk out, close the door. So we had a bit of time. And it also underlined, we're about to say something important that should not be heard by the witness. Then we used our clear and prepared theory of our motion to state exactly where we were going, and we delivered a mini closing to explain the relevance and respond to the objection. We won the objection, but then it happened again. Another tactical objection. Here we go again. Witness out, explain the argument, another mini final submission with up-to-the-minute reference to the evidence, ending with why we were leading it. We won it again. The objections flowed to a trickle and then stopped. And it all began with methodical preparation. Along the way, during our quest to learn how to prepare effectively, a number of us happily attended the modestly titled Ultimate Cross-Examination Conference in Chicago. We heard an excellent presentation from trial lawyers Roger Dodd and Larry Posner, who presented their methods and sold their book on the science of cross-examination. They described how to break open a case, divide it into its component parts, create chapters, and deliver the cross. They talked about how to cross-examine a crime witness, a witness who is evasive or a complete liar. And they broke down and analyzed the most basic of questions. How do you effectively pose a leading question? Now this was learning to prepare, and it worked. First time I used these methods in a case, I got every answer I needed. Smooth, logically, no drama. As I sat down, I heard the Crown grumble under her breath, well, that witness would have said anything. It may have looked like that, but it took hours of preparation and careful thought. And these techniques are not secret. They're available to all of you. Yet judges still complain there are lawyers in court who cannot ask a question properly, who have not learned or cared enough to structure cross-examinations built on asking one factor question, sequenced in a way that drives to the logical conclusion the lawyer needs. And the other thing I hear judges say often is that when a skilled and prepared lawyer appears before them, it is still a standout, because there are some in our profession who have become tired or cynical or unhappy or not caring, not able to do the work, not knowing their case or their client. So 29 years later, since my call to the bar, I now know that there is no magic, all figured out stage with a career in law. And it's both good news and bad news for all of you, because the fundamental truth about practice is this. When you get good at this work, the problems just get harder. The mountains get higher, and as you climb one and you reach the summit exhausted, you get a little breather, but then a higher range comes into view. And if you are motivated by challenge, it's a wonderful thing, because the work can be so difficult, and there's more than what you bring to the game that's required. So here I'm talking about relationships. If you climb mountains for a living, you need good companions. These are the people you call at night when you're afraid you made a bad mistake, or people will come to court and watch what's happening, or sit second chair on a tough file. In a profession where today's adversary is tomorrow's chambermaid, or your trial judge in 5 or 10 years, fight hard, but always respect the person, even when their stress levels might lead them to treat you with disrespect. If you keep yourself even, it will pay off. Maybe not that day or that week, but someday. Even when, or especially when, someone is ignoring you, being rude or aggressive. Do your work with a smile on your face, and someday, years later, you will learn why this is good advice. Receive an abrupt email, pick up the phone. Don't escalate. Be the coolant, not the accelerant. Remember that lawyer with the objections we talked about? We were polite and friendly with him outside court. We bought his witnesses coffee. And we used some of the colorful insults we overheard from the witnesses as a signal that maybe we were getting somewhere, rather than an invitation to get personal. We stayed focused, and at the end of the case, we all shook hands. That's what you do. Your values are the foundation for work that is intellectually demanding, often physically exhausting, and endlessly rewarding. They include being dedicated to the continuous learning and humility that keeps you competent in a difficult and complex profession. It will lead you to be on the lookout for how to do your work more skillfully, on learnings from other disciplines. Over the years, my law practice has benefited from exposure to art, drama, literature, journalism, neuroscience, martial arts, surfing, science, philosophy, and religion. There are role models available in fiction, history, and biography, as well as family and across the profession. And likely you've heard about mentors and the value of mentors. They can be older or younger or in different fields. The values of independence and autonomy and integrity are also baked into the role of being a lawyer, and they will support your ability to make decisions when some try and divide your loyalties or appeal to your self-interest to have you cross ethical lines. Your values are there to protect you when you are tired or distracted, or when you're approached by someone who might want to dilute your excellence or manipulate you. And you may at some stage be required to speak truth to power, even where power does not want to hear the truth. Professor Nicholas Taleb talks about the process of becoming less fragile in the face of challenge. He talks about how, when he begins a new job, he always writes a letter of resignation and locks it in a desk drawer. It allows him to adjust for the worst-case scenario, a mental write-off when things are going well, being ready to walk away. It's a given. You will face some difficulty and uncertainty, but you should also ask yourself today, how will you thrive? So let's jump for a moment from philosophy to poetry. Poets understand a lot about the world, and they are worth reading, particularly when you are confused or sad or tired, also when you are not. William Carlos Williams wrote, "It is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die every day for lack of what is found there." Perhaps you can thrive from what you find in poetry. How can you make sure that you do not die a metaphorical death every day in a job or a place that starves your soul? I once asked a friend, I describe her as a force of nature, who is now in her 9th decade on this planet, about advice she gives to people about their work. She's been an artist since her teens. She was taught by one of the members of the group of 7, and her work is known nationally and internationally. Her paintings make my heart sing. She keeps a single sentence posted on the wall of her studio where her students can see it, and some of them have been known to change their lives after reading this. Don't get to be good at what you don't want to do. So if you want to do this work, it goes a long way. And if you can do it with people from whom you can learn and respect, this is huge. The rest is practice and time. And you do have to put in the time. Jobs are likely to change, but your attitude and your skills and the values on which these are built are lasting. 4 of my most rewarding positions didn't exist when I graduated from law school, and I suspect some of the ones you take on don't exist yet either. So the better question is, how will you express your values in your work? What interested you in law school? How will you benefit the community? And how will you grow as a person? Each of you will have your own answers today. And I'm asking you to consider these questions about what motivates you. What are the intrinsic rewards that you will get? I love how French author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry describes motivation to work. He wrote, "If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea." So I'm asking you, what are you longing for? How will you express that in your work? Dr. Henry Cloud wrote a book called Integrity, The Courage to Meet the Demands of Reality, where he points out that a significant trait that predicts success is the ability to actively seek reality. What does this mean in practice? It means that the first hint of trouble, that gut feeling that you might have done something wrong, the inability to sleep, reaction from someone or a letter, you will inquire further and more deeply. You will look at it closely. Even though it's somewhat counterintuitive, who wants to look at difficult feelings? But the answer is you will, you can, and you must, because the upside is huge. This is what law is about. It's about difficult situations and problem solving. And you are tasked with seeking reality. A word about dealing with adversity. We are all tested. New parents are often provided with this wise advice. Expect it to spill. Simple yet brilliant. New motorcycle riders are told, trust no one. This one keeps you alive. So I thought about what similar piece of hard but true advice could save tears and injury in the practice of law. In lawyers, there are no shortcuts. You pay your dues, you never stop paying them, your reputation matters throughout your career. Be full and fair in your writing, be courteous to everyone you interact with. Take the law seriously, but not yourself. And practice the habits of emotional intelligence. And when you come up against difficulty, allow yourself to feel the pain of having let yourself and maybe others down, and then move to step 2. Do that post-mortem on what you and only you could have done differently with the things within your locus of control. Resist blaming others for a situation in which you had a part to play. And if you can't even bear to tell another human being or a mentor, start with a private journal. Write it down. If you wrote yourself into trouble, you may be able to write yourself out of trouble. And it's hard work. It's far harder than writing an essay, taking a test, or running a race. It's a place of vulnerability, a place of growth. A word about bullies and attempted abuse of power. This can be the part of the work of a lawyer, because you're in a world where there is independence of decision-making and professional obligations playing out with other people. And you will come up against bully behavior. You may have already. It could come from a client, opposing counsel, a public official. They may be senior to you, higher in status, or capable of having an impact on your career. They may have the ear of the press. And this is where the rule of values is absolutely vital to your self-respect and your future. Your values will not steer you wrong if you're clear before a situation develops. When you are confronted by the bully, you will instinctively know what to do because you understand your position, your role, your responsibility. You will be capable of enduring pushback to defend your values and your boundaries. Use the power of silence, make notes. Do not respond in kind and find resources. Remember that paper is a coolant. It reduces the situation to writing. Or consult someone with impeccable judgment. Go for a long walk where there is quiet space. Brain research suggests we are more creative at finding solutions when we're walking than when we're sitting. Be among trees near lakes and rivers to calm the emotionality that can occur. And if it's a workplace situation, use confidential available resources like the Discrimination and Harassment Council of the Law Society, available to law students and lawyers at any stage. Next time you're in an intense situation, take a few deep breaths. Imagine a supportive, unconditionally loving family member like the one sitting up behind you today, sitting right behind you, silently rooting for you, and do not give up. And sometimes, likely rarely, you may have to do the equivalent of what Australian Senator Vicky Bourne described when the opposition yelled at her and tried to drown out her voice during debates. Senator Bourne said, "I started off with a conciliatory approach and I was treated with utter contempt. When I reverted to a more aggressive style, I was treated with respect." Sometimes you will have to assert yourself. You will know when. It's likely to be rare, and it should come from a place of theater, not emotionality. A strategic choice that you make, grounded in your values. You will know what to do if you take the time to ask in the right way, in the right place. You will return to your values. I want to thank Dean Scott very much for the opportunity to address the graduating class of Western Law 2016. I was so happy to graduate from here in 1985, and I'm grateful for the preparation I was given for my life in law. So law graduates, say yes to the challenges, prepare for your transformations, and consider this advice from Persian poet Rumi as translated in the Essential Rumi. Respond to every call that excites your spirit.